Guys, Anne-Marie here, and today I am going to be organizing my paper scraps. They have kind of taken over and there's just too many of them. I can't find anything. I don't even want to look through the box that was holding them. Technically, I have a 3-drawer Sterilite system, but I had been collecting them in a random priority mailbox that I had, and it was full to the bursting. I was damaging scraps by trying to put more in. So I had to stop and clean up my scraps and move them to my system. So that's what I'm doing today. In my organizational videos, I'm basically doing a little body doubling. So if you want any information on that, I put a link below, but it just means that I'm working on a project. You can put this on while you're working on something, maybe your own organizational project, and we can work together. This is something that I personally do sometimes when I'm lacking motivation to clean or something. I'll look up videos of other people cleaning stuff, and just having that on while I'm also doing the project, the thing, it just helps. So this is all going to be here. This is kind of an uncut version, and it's going to be sped up, set to music. I'll pop in occasionally if I want to explain something in depth. And then I have timestamps listed below in the description box if you want to just jump through and hear those sections. So, all right, here we go. Also, a bunch of the music from today is by a friend, Water Left Frog. You can check out their channel. I put a link below. They've been a very prolific artist for many years, and they have a very diverse catalog. So enjoy. So first up, I feel like I'm missing a little bit of footage of me starting, but essentially I dumped the priority mailbox out on my desk, and then I kind of sorted it as I went into my 3 sizes that I keep. So I mentioned I have a 3-drawer Sterilite system. That system currently is set up so that the middle drawer, so the second drawer, holds anything that is roughly the size of a card mat. So if it's roughly the size of an A2 card, so roughly 4.25 by 5.5 inches, it goes in the second drawer. Anything that's smaller than that, or longer and skinny, like a good sentiment strip would be, goes in the top drawer. And anything bigger than that goes in the bottom drawer. So it's kind of a small, medium, large situation, or, a too little, just right, too big situation. And I like it. It works for me. It's pretty easy to maintain until I, go rogue and start stuffing things in priority mailboxes for apparently months here. What helps me, though, also maintain the system is having squared scraps. So I know this is anathema to a lot of people. I get it, because I'm going to be throwing some stuff away. I'm going to be wasting pieces, and you can always punch something out of these tiny pieces, and you can always make a little flower. Or you can always, sorry, I was getting distracted by my nails. It's a new magnetic polish, and they were really distracting me. You can always do something with those tiny scraps. Always, of course. But it overwhelms me to have too much of it. And when I've got all these random edges sticking out and these punched pieces sticking up, they catch on each other, they bend corners, they scrunch up pieces, they damage the scraps. So I just didn't want to deal with it anymore, and I just this is what I do now for my scraps. I just clean them up, and it helps. It helps keep my system going. It helps me use my system more often, all of that good stuff. Now, having said that, by the time I incorporate all of these into my system, I need to use them up. So what I'm thinking is I want to finish my Cute Cards Quick series, which I've just randomly decided will probably be around the 10th video. So I'm up to Cute Cards Quick number 8 so far. When I get 9 and 10 finished, then I think what I'll do is I'll go through all of those videos and take all of the ways that I tackled all of the scraps, all the teeny tiny little scraps that I had at the end of the 6x6 paper pad, and what I did with those. And I'm just going to make a ton of cards from those ideas with my scraps. So essentially applying all of those. And then that way, all of the scrap ideas are in one video. So if that's something you ever want to refer back to, or that's the concept that you really liked out of those videos, that's the part you can share if you want, because I'll just have a video that's just focusing on scraps. So that's where we're headed with this. Now that's a long-term goal, okay? Because I have number 9 planned out, but I also want to make Christmas cards, and that's a totally different, I don't want to do the design that I have for 9 for my Christmas cards. So I don't know. It could be, it's definitely going to be next year before I get to it. And it could very well be a whole other year at the rate that I've been going. So whatever, life is life. It just is what it is. Okay, I'm going to shut up now and we can both get something done. All right. All right, so here you're going to see all of these, that floral, that purple gingham, these gray pieces. They're all roughly the size of a card mat. So I'm going to set those aside. I'm going to save those. I think actually, okay, the purple gingham I got rid of because it was really thin paper and it was very wrinkled from being pushed around. So I actually pitched that. But those other larger pieces, they were big enough that I thought this could be a card mat. So I just set those aside because those are going to go in a different size drawer. Right now I'm trying to focus on the smallest scraps that I have. So when I'm looking at these, I'm thinking these are things I could use to embellish a card mat or to create embellishments that would fit on the card. This was really good to do while I watched TV because it was fairly mindless, but it was helping me feel like I am actively cleaning up my space. I'm doing something to make my scrappy life better. And that was good. So as I cut, I was just thinking, if is it a torn edge? I'm chopping it off. I want it to be a decent size because I want to be able to do something with this. So I did not save the tiniest scraps that I could punch a tiny star out of. And I know some people would. And I get that and I respect that. It's just too much physical clutter makes me very mentally cluttered, and I just had to let some of it go. So everything that I'm pushing to the front, that's trash, by the way. That's stuff that I'm going to throw away. And if you see me take a large piece and put it there, it's because it was very, again, wrinkled or damaged in some way, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to salvage it. So this is the second night of going through my scraps, and I was starting to tackle those bigger pieces now. So I got out my bigger trimmer and I'm cutting down, if I can, to 4.25 by 5.5. If it's a little smaller than that, that's fine too, because then it can just be, framed by the card base. So that's okay. Um, or if they're just bigger pieces and they needed a little more surgery, and I was like out of oomph from the night before, so I saved some of these because I just ran out of energy. And then some pieces were just really big, so I cut off like a damaged portion, but then I kept the rest of it, and it went into that third drawer of just the giant pieces. All right, so I reached the bottom of my pile, so I'm going to do a little desk cleaning here and pull out a drawer. So this is my small scrap drawer. And remember, it's also holding anything that might work as a sentiment strip, but that also means sentiment blocks. So you'll see things that are like a journaling block or a 3x4 card or a cut apart card. Anything that I could use as a sentiment on a card, I've put in here. Now, I want a better system. I need a better system for my sentiments than just chucking them in here. I will uncover an envelope at some point in here with some pre-made sentiments. And I also snagged a Tailored Expression sentiment strip organizer at the bins a few weeks ago. So that's simmering in the back of my mind, but I'm not going to tackle it today. They're just going to stay here today. And yes, I have some shelf liner that's cut in the bottom. Originally, when I set up the system, I did have kind of little piles, and the shelf liner kind of helped keep those separate. But right now, there's just too many. So it may seem kind of silly to have that in there, but I don't know. I do like that it kind of helps keep things in place if I do want to loosely organize them. I started by loading in all of the obviously very tiny pieces, but now I'm going through some of those borderline or larger pieces and making sure. Do you hear that? Hi, Billy. Wow. One of our cats is standing outside the bedroom door where I'm doing this voiceover and just crying her little heart out. But I'm not going to let her in. But she's out there. Okay, anyway, I'm just going through the kind of borderline scraps. And again, you can see that pile that I'm making on the right. Those are things that are roughly the size of a card mat. So I'm just leaving them there. But anything else that is smaller is going into this bin. All right, so now we're moving on to the second bin. These are the things that should be roughly the size of a card base. So I just kind of did a quick perusal, and then I'm loading in this other stuff that would make a good card base. Some of it is longer than a card base, but that just means I could get 2 card bases out of it, and I'm not going to sit there and cut them all down right this second. And then there was the third bin. I just showed it super fast, and that's just the one that has the giant pieces in it. I just needed to process some of that off of my desk and into the drawers so I had room. So I had gone through the tiny bin and I pulled out all of the scraps in the bin that I had not held myself to the rule of cutting them square. So I was going back and fixing that now. I'm going to cut them square so that pieces aren't getting snagged, pieces aren't getting scrunched or caught on each other. that's it. This is all my scraps. I did discover a few of my larger pieces that I needed to trim down, but my phone was full and I did not go back and mess with recording it. It was just like 5 pieces, so I figured you'd be okay without that. Here are some pictures of my finished scrap drawer system. Very happy about this, but again, very overwhelmed. So I can't wait to start like knocking out some scrap cards with this. And I've kind of revised my earlier plan. I think I might make some and just keep that footage until it's all done and ready. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, so thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider clicking the thumbs up or leaving a comment or subscribing. And I will be back next week with something. And have a happy scrappy week in the meantime. All right, bye.